Candles flickered between crystal glasses. Shadows danced over porcelain plates, untouched risotto steaming, perfuming the room with basil and lemon zest. Across from me, Olivia fidgeted. Her manicured fingers twisted the linen napkin until it frayed. I sipped my Merlot slowly, sensing something shifting beneath her practiced smile. "I have something to say," she said, barely above a whisper. Her voice cracked, eyes darting like a child caught stealing. "It's about us." That word always felt foreign on her tongue, like a language she never truly mastered. I placed my glass down gently, folded my hands, and leaned forward, silently granting her the floor. She inhaled deeply, steadying herself as though standing on a cliff's edge. "I've been cheating." The words didn't slap. They didn't stab. They didn't crash. They landed soft, like silk fluttering to hardwood. 2 years, she added quickly, like a confession would hurt less if blurted out. It wasn't just once. It wasn't meaningless. I nodded, unblinking. She blinked fast. "You're not saying anything." I raised my glass, swirling the ruby liquid within. "To honesty." That's when she flinched. You see, stories like these usually make the man look blind, clueless, a fool in a tailored suit. But I'm no fool. Not anymore. I'd seen the signs. Late meetings, lipstick absent from our kisses, new lingerie I never remove. I'm an observer by nature. Professionally, I'm a psychologist. Human behavior, patterns, tells. They're my instrument. And Olivia? She played a melody I'd decoded long ago. The way she tilted her head while lying. How she avoided direct answers. Her sudden obsession with yoga and business dinners. She expected devastation. She expected rage. Instead, I toasted. Why? Because I had my own secrets. Let me take you back 18 months. I met her at a conference in Vancouver. She wore red, a daring shade, and spoke like fire. Her name was Aria. She was married too, of course. All the best ones are. She caught my eye while lecturing on ethical dilemmas in monogamy. Oh, the irony. Our first conversation lasted 3 hours. She had opinions, sharp as obsidian, and a laugh that shattered silence. I didn't intend to cheat. But she felt necessary. A revival. It started with text. Then long phone calls. Then a hotel room in Portland that smelled of rain and skin. We weren't reckless. We were deliberate, thoughtful. We set rules. No falling. No jealousy. No guilt. But hearts don't care about rules. "Are you not angry?" Olivia asked, voice now brittle. "No," I said. "Not anymore." She stared, mouth open. The person sitting across from her wasn't the man she expected. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I didn't beg or leave. I poured more wine. Her eyes narrowed. "You're seeing someone." I smirked. She finally understood. "Who is she?" "It doesn't matter." Her fork clattered onto the plate. "So you've been cheating too?" "No," I corrected. "I've been living." What people don't get about infidelity is that it's rarely about sex. It's about hunger. About void. About feeling seen. Aria saw me in a way Olivia hadn't in years. With her, I wasn't someone's husband, I was myself. Flawed, desiring, curious, alive. I don't think Olivia ever truly knew me. She loved the version of me that wore suits, paid bills, booked anniversary trip. She didn't want my chaos. Aria did. And yet, sitting across the table, I didn't hate Olivia. I pitied her. She thought this was the climax, the grand reveal. But this wasn't a revelation. It was closure. "Are you in love with her?" she asked. I sipped. I was. Maybe I still am. Tears finally welled in her eyes. Not from my words, but perhaps from the realization that she no longer had control. She whispered, "Does she know about me?" "She does. And unlike you, she never lied about her marriage." She didn't respond. "I forgive you," I added. That made her look up sharply. "You forgive me?" "Yes." The power shifted. She no longer held the upper hand. I wasn't broken. I was free. Our risotto cooled. The candles flickered lower. She stared into her wineglass like it might give her answers. So what happens now? She asked. I leaned back, folded arms. That depends, I said. Do you want honesty? Or do you want the illusion back? She didn't answer. Instead, she stood, grabbed her coat, and left the food untouched. I stayed. Finished my wine. Ordered crème brûlée. Smiled at the silence. She expected heartbreak. I toasted instead. When the front door slammed that night, I didn't flinch. The house didn't feel emptier. It felt wider. Quieter, but not sad. I walked through the hallways like a guest finally noticing the cracks in the foundation. Photos lined the wall. Smiling faces, vacations, moments curated for the world. My fingers trailed over a wedding portrait. Olivia in lace. Me in navy. Back then, I thought love meant permanence. But love's not a monument. It's a flame, flickering, changing shape when wind enters. Upstairs, our bedroom was exactly as she left it. Pristine, airless, too symmetrical to feel real. Her scent lingered on the pillows. Jasmine, vanilla, and something I couldn't place, guilt maybe. I didn't sleep in our bed. Instead, I returned to the guest room. My room, in practice. The bed was smaller, but the air was breathable. That night, I lay awake, thinking not about Olivia, but about Aria. I met her again in Chicago 6 weeks after Vancouver. The wind was violent, the kind that rearranges your thoughts. We met at a cafe with chipped mugs and sticky tables. She wore a coat the color of ash and kissed my cheek like she'd done it forever. Still married? She asked, teasing. Aren't you? I replied. She smiled, but her eyes stayed serious. Yes. But that part of me lives elsewhere. With Aria, everything was compartmentalized. Her husband, Mark, existed in her stories, but never in our space. He was predictable, passive, a man of habit. She said she loved him. But she loved me differently, urgently, vividly. She didn't expect promises. Just presence. The first night we made love, it wasn't frantic. It wasn't even lustful. It was careful. Reverent, even. Like we were unwrapping versions of ourselves hidden too long. She kissed me like she knew how I used to dream before routine dulled me. We spent the weekend in a boutique hotel overlooking the river. We drank bourbon on the balcony. Talked about cities we'd never see together. Sketched futures we didn't intend to chase. We knew the limits, but that didn't make it less real. When she slept, I watched her chest rise and fall, wondering how many versions of ourselves we lose in long-term love. How many little deaths go unnoticed. Back home, Olivia became more absent in spirit than in body. She smiled in social settings, laughed when needed, wore the mask masterfully. But her eyes, those betrayed her. She was already gone. Just waiting for me to say it first. But I didn't. I let her live inside the performance. I watched as she texted someone while pretending to scroll through recipes. I noticed how she wore perfume before late meetings. How she bought lingerie but never wore it around me. And still, I let her believe I didn't know. Not out of cowardice, but because I wanted her to walk into her own truth, unprovoked. Now she had. I didn't tell Aria right away. I waited a week. Let the silence between Olivia and me settle into something concrete. She didn't call. Didn't return. I didn't reach out. When I finally did message Aria, I kept it simple. She knows. The reply came fast. How did she take it? Worse than she expected. But not in the way she feared. You okay? Lighter than ever. She sent a photo. Her in bed, coffee mug, bare shoulders. The caption read, "There's room here." And I believed her. You might ask, did I love Olivia? Yes, once. But love can die without violence. Sometimes it dies from neglect, from slow withdrawals, from unshared truth. I mourned our marriage long before her confession. The difference was, I didn't pretend to grieve once the eulogy was spoken aloud. 3 days later, she returned, not with tears but with paperwork. Divorce already drafted. Her efficiency was impressive. Detached. Cold. She sat at the kitchen counter, placed the folder between us like a peace offering. I noticed she was still wearing her ring. Funny that. I assume you've already seen a lawyer, she said. Nope. I'll use yours. She blinked. Really? Doesn't matter. We have nothing left to divide but signatures. Her jaw tightened. What about the house? You keep it. I never liked this place. Now she blinked faster. And your things. I'll send someone. She hated that. The convenience of it. The clean exit. She wanted mess, emotion, consequences. But I gave her none. Just clarity. I signed the papers with the same pen I used to write her vows. That night Arya called. Her voice was low, soft, like she knew the edges of the storm had passed but the clouds hadn't fully cleared. Are you really okay? She asked again. Yes. Are you coming to me? Do you want that? Silence. Then, yes. That was all I needed. When I left the house for the last time, I didn't take much. Clothes. A few framed photos, not of Olivia, but of places I'd visited before marriage. Before I forgot who I was, I left the ring on the counter. I didn't leave a note. I didn't owe one. By the time the Uber pulled away, she hadn't come to the window. Maybe she didn't want to see. Maybe she didn't care. Or maybe, like me, she'd already left long ago, long before dinner, long before she said the words. Truth is, sometimes we cheat not because we want more, but because we already have nothing. And sometimes, toasting isn't celebration. It's farewell. Chicago looked different now. Maybe it was the shift inside me, or maybe the sky genuinely seemed clearer, like the clouds had stopped holding back. I stepped out of the taxi with just a duffel and a fresh absence behind me. Arya stood outside her brownstone, arms folded, hair loose, smile hesitant. You look free, she said, voice cautious but warm. I feel weightless. We didn't hug immediately. We just looked at each other. Two people who'd loved from the sidelines now stepping into the game with no rulebook, no boundaries, no fallback plans. When I finally kissed her, it was different. No urgency. Just gravity. The kind of pull that tells you you're exactly where you should be. Living with Arya started with bliss. Morning espresso, shared showers, dinner over jazz, long talks in bed. Her apartment smelled like sandalwood and cinnamon, and laughter echoed off brick walls. She'd sketch while I read, hum while she cooked, and always listened without interruption. For the first few weeks we were floating. But freedom tastes different when there's no longer anything forbidden. And we had no distractions now. No hotel checkouts, no trains to catch, no partners to return to. Just each other, in full. That's when I began to see the cracks. Not in her. In us. Arya had routines, just like Olivia. She liked the windows open, even in the cold. She hated silence during meals. She always left her shoes near the door. At first, those quirks were charming. Human. Then came the harder parts. She got jealous when I worked late. She hated when I mentioned Olivia, even in passing, even without affection. She flinched when I touched her without warning. Not because she didn't want me, but because something inside her had always flinched. Something I hadn't seen before. One night we argued about music. Music. I'd played an old jazz record Olivia once loved, not thinking. Arya's eyes narrowed. Can we not bring ghosts into this place? It's a song. No, it's a memory. I laughed. That was the wrong move. I left everything for this, she snapped. Don't drag your past into our bed. I stood up slowly. You didn't leave anything. You still wear your ring on weekends. She recoiled. You said it didn't matter. It didn't. Until it started to. We slept on opposite sides that night. No touching. No talking. Just breath and blankets between the silence. Weeks passed. Good days returned. But they always came with conditions. Sex became less spontaneous. Conversations turned cautious. Every shared coffee now came with an invisible question. Is this still real? I began to wonder, had we only worked because we weren't allowed to? Because cheating gives everything a sheen of urgency. Desire flourishes in shadow. But in the daylight? In the grocery store on a Tuesday? That's where truth lives. And truth is messier than fantasy. One morning, she sat at the kitchen counter, knees curled beneath her, sipping tea. "I don't think I know who you really are," she said. I looked up from my laptop. "What do you mean? You're so calm. Too calm. Like nothing shakes you." "That's not true." "Really?" Her eyes challenged mine. "Did Olivia ever see you angry?" "Yes." She leaned forward. "But did she ever see you honest?" That question hung in the air like smoke. I closed the laptop slowly. "No." Her expression softened. Neither did Mark. We sat like that, unspoken confessions thick in the room. No lies, but no comfort either. I started therapy again. Alone. I needed to know whether the man who toasted betrayal was still inside me, or if I'd become something else entirely. The therapist asked what I wanted from Arya. "Sanctuary," I said. "Not love. They're not the same." "Do you love her?" I hesitated. "I love the part of her that saved me from becoming hollow." "And the rest of her?" I looked away. Still learning. Arya began asking questions late at night. Not sweet curiosities, heavy, sticky inquiries. "Do you think you'd have left Olivia without me?" "No." "Would you leave me if someone new made you feel seen?" "I don't know." That answer shattered her a little. I hated myself for saying it, but lying felt worse. She rolled over, pulling the blanket tighter. I watched her back rise and fall, the way I once watched her sleep in that Portland hotel room. Only this time I felt distance, not awe. We didn't end in fire. We faded. One Sunday, over pancakes, she said it softly. We made each other brave. But we didn't make each other whole. I nodded. "Do you want to keep trying?" she asked, more curious than hopeful. I took her hand, kissed the back of it. No. Tears didn't come. Not for her. Not for me. We packed in silence. I left with the same duffel, now filled with fewer illusions. She stood on the porch as I walked away. Just like before. Only this time I didn't look back. They say affairs are built on lies. But sometimes they build mirrors. And in those reflections, you finally see what your marriage hid, what your desire reveals, and who you are when no one's pretending anymore. I wasn't heartbroken. I wasn't triumphant. I was real. And sometimes, real hurts more than any betrayal. 6 months later, I live in a different city. Different tempo. Quieter mornings, older buildings, neighbors who nod but don't ask questions. There's something comforting about anonymity, like forgiveness without ceremony. I rented a small place above a bookstore. There's creaking wood under my steps, ivy curling outside the windows, and a rusted fire escape I sit on during long nights. I read more now. Write, too. Nothing publishable, just thoughts, scratched in notebooks nobody else will read. People assume heartbreak is loud, dramatic, a storm thrashing the soul. But real endings? They're quiet. Like doors clicking shut after everyone's already gone. I didn't leave for love. I left for myself. Sometimes Olivia texts. Not often. Just things like, "Do you remember the lake in Vermont? I passed our old sushi place today. Still standing. You always said fall was your season. You were right." I respond occasionally. Kindly. Neutrally. There's no venom between us now. Only echoes. We were never meant to be enemies. Just two travelers who mistook parallel paths for a shared one. I don't ask about her new life. She doesn't ask about mine. That's our truce. Arya sent one postcard. No return address. It came in winter. A photograph of a coastline I didn't recognize, waves crashing against black cliffs. She'd written only, "Sometimes we're not meant to stay. Only to wake each other up." That was it. I stared at that card for hours. Not sad. Not angry. Just aware. Aware that love can be a defibrillator, not a cure. Something to jolt you alive, not something to carry you forward. I still think of her sometimes. Not with longing, but with clarity. We were beautiful, but we were built for endings. My therapist asked me last week, "Do you regret any of it?" I laughed. A slow, honest sound. No. Regret implies I'd do it differently. I wouldn't. Pain gave me perspective. Loss gave me language. And love, she asked. Love gave me choices. And the freedom to leave. She wrote something down. I didn't ask what. Some truths don't need sharing. I go on walks now. Long ones. No destination. Just rhythm. I notice things I never did before. Cracks in sidewalks, birdsong between traffic, the way sun touches brick around 5:30 in the evening. I find joy in slowness. In being unnamed, unclaimed, unbound. There's a woman who works in the coffee shop below. Her name is Noelle. She has freckles under her eyes and tattoos of moths on her fingers. She calls me Mystery Man, because I never tell her much. We talk about books, about how people mistake comfort for happiness. She says she's learning to be alone. I tell her I'm learning how to stay. We haven't touched yet. Haven't crossed that line. Maybe we won't. Or maybe we already have, just without skin. One night, I watched the rain pour against the glass, fat and relentless. I made tea. Sat on the floor. Pulled out an old journal and wrote. I didn't fall out of love. I just stopped pretending I knew what it meant. That line stayed with me. It was never about the cheating. Not hers. Not mine. It was about hunger. About how long we go starving, smiling, staying quiet because that's what good spouses do. Until someone puts food on the table, and we realize how empty we've been. I don't condone it. But I understand it. I found an old photo in my drawer last week. Me and Olivia in Paris. She's laughing at something I said. I'm staring at her like she's the last thing I'll ever need. I kept it. Not because I miss her. But because that version of us deserves to exist somewhere. We were real. Even if we broke. Even if we betrayed. Even if we lied. We still lived something that mattered once. So here I am, telling you my story. Not for pity. Not for justification. But for the simple, human need to be known. Yes, she cheated. So did I. Yes, we hurt each other. No, we're not monsters. We were two flawed people who outgrew a shape that once fit. And when she told me, 2 years, someone else, multiple times, I didn't cry. Because by then, I'd already mourned what we lost. I didn't raise my voice. I raised my glass. And that, strangely enough, was the beginning. Not of revenge. Not of some rebound fantasy. But of me. Of this. Of now.